I can't hit the button. See if you can.
Okay, hold on a second. There we go. Okay, hold on. Stop. There we go. Okay, we're good. All right, I just want to say I love the fact that you put "We Digress" up on it because I just ordered from Sticker Mule 2 sets of stickers for Super Zoo and Hershey. One of them says "We Digress." The other one is "You Know That How." So we're doing live. Traveling Groomers is doing a live podcast. We're doing it actually in a couple places. So this week we're doing a live podcast at the Rocky Mountain Show, but it's going to be on the Thursday. So it's not going to be our normal. Says we're echoing a bit. Hey, Chris, turn your volume off.
It'll be later. It'll be Thursday, hopefully around 7.
Okay, but turn your volume off because we're echoing. Okay, is that better? So it'll be Thursday this week instead of the usual Wednesday. And then both Super Zoo and Hershey are giving us space to do the live podcast. On Hershey, it's going to be at 12:30 on Friday, right after they do some awards, so right on the front. But anyway, if you come to us while we are doing the live podcast, we have stuff to give. Some of which are stickers and some of which are other things. But, nonetheless, come find us. I don't know where we will be at Super Zoo yet. Okay. Sounds like we're still having feedback.
Ha! So it wasn't me. You blame me for the things.
Okay. We always blame you for the things.
She shakes her corn at us.
As we're digressing, I can show you the proper way to grill corn if you like.
The picture's a little small.
Yeah, can my phone go like that? It's still, wow. Then
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, but now you see like the ground. I don't have a.
We're getting dizzy, Chris.
I don't want to put it too close to the grill because hot.
All right, so Chris is grilling corn.
Is that slightly? No, I don't seem. I don't know. Now you see sky.
Okay. All right. So anyway, a couple things we wanted to talk about. One is, it's hot. All right. We see animals in vehicles. So what do you do if you see an animal in distress in a vehicle? Okay.
Yeah, what are the actual laws? There's a lot of debate.
They're different. They are different from state to state to state. Okay. But what we're going to tell you is we all have phones on us. There are some states that will allow you to break the window.
Ours does. Well,
quickly,
does.
Connecticut is one of those states as well. You can break. However, protect yourself. You have a camera. Take pictures of the pet in distress. Video the pet in distress. Okay. For those states, for most other states, they will allow you to break the window if you contact the police department and they say to break the window. Okay. But regardless, they want pictures and video because they may want that to prosecute. So if you see it, videotape it. So there's evidence. Washington, you have to call. I know that, but Connecticut, you do not. Denise, you said Ohio, you can break the window.
Yes.
Chris, do you know New Jersey's laws?
Shamefully, I don't. I need to Google that immediately. You know what? I've been told you can, but I have not Googled it myself, and
I would Google it yourself. Angie, Massachusetts.
After making reasonable efforts to locate a motor vehicle's owner, a person other than an animal control officer, law enforcement officer, or firefighter shall not enter a motor vehicle to remove an animal to protect the health and safety of that animal in immediate danger unless they notify law enforcement or call 911, determine that the motor vehicle is locked and there is no other reasonable means for exit, and uses no more force than reasonably necessary to enter the motor vehicle and remove the animal. Has good faith and reasonable belief based upon known circumstances that entry into the vehicle is reasonably necessary to prevent imminent danger or harm to the animal, and remains with the animal in a safe location in reasonable proximity to the vehicle until law enforcement or another first responder arrives.
Okay. Michelle, Arizona.
Yes, very similar to what Angie just ran down. And they just recently passed that within the last couple of years.
Same.
Okay. So it's okay. It's illegal to leave a dog in a car in New Jersey, but no one, not even law enforcement, can break into the vehicle. Huh.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
okay. Since I don't
crazy.
allow other people to say it, I get to say it myself. We suck in that regard. That sucks.
So you get to just watch the dog die?
Yeah.
Florida says we could break into their vehicles. All right. So no. Okay. So what happens now? You have a pet in distress. You get the pet out. The pet is still in distress. Okay. So what do? All right. You need to cool this pet off. Right. You have to be careful not to shock the pet. So you can't like run into the store and get like ice cubes and pour it over the pet because you'll actually you'll create a thermal barrier. However, you can take bottled water, all right, as long as it's like room temperature, and cool the pet off that way. You could soak a towel, soak a shirt, but as long as it's not cold, because if you use cold, you're going to shock the system.
When I worked in law enforcement during the summertime, in the trunk of the vehicle, I used to carry a Rubbermaid tub because this used to happen all the time, all summer long. People are cooking their pets. So what I would do is there's a car wash down near the shopping center. So I would go, and of course, lights and whatnot. People come over, ooh, because they know. And so I would tell someone, can you go over there and fill this tub up? And with their hose, because the car wash said they would be willing to do that, and just hose water. I would pop the window, get the dog out of the vehicle, carry them over to the Rubbermaid tub, and just put them in the Rubbermaid tub.
Okay.
And it was like a daily routine. It happened at least once a shift all summer long. It was shocking to me. Because how stupid can you be?
Okay, FYI, I just learned that the baby stroller covers also create an oven. Yeah, even the Muslim ones, because you're restricting airflow.
Yeah.
Anything that restricts airflow.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And just when it's plain hot. And here's the thing too, right? So in my household, I have 4 dogs. Right. They're starting to age up a little bit. All right. So Cecil and Speedy are now 12 years old. They're old men. Right. They're going to be more susceptible to heat than the youngest dog in the house, which is Reno, and Reno is still 7 years old. Okay. So anyway, so if you know the laws of your state, just put them into the chat, and we will read them off as we see them. And wanted to go on to the second topic that we wanted to talk about. All right. And it's because I had a conversation today with a client, not a client, a friend of mine, who's not in the pet industry. All right. And we were talking about language and how language changes over the years. So words that we used 100 years ago are not like the same words necessarily that we use today. All right. And we probably don't even remember what those words are. Hold on. On June 2nd, a new Oregon law took effect that expanded protections for children and pets left alone in vehicles. The law shields members of the public from damages if they break into a car to save the life of a pet or a child. That was done in November of 2017. But I was still going to tell you, if you do it, still protect your butts. Video what you are doing. Okay. So where was I? Right. So we're having a conversation, and so she's a college professor. So we were bringing up how words have changed, and sometimes they don't change for the better. And when words get a negative connotation, even though they weren't prior to that, it's really hard to come back from that. We've seen that over the years. We saw that with Chris. You know what the name of the symbol was? The symbol that the Nazis took over.
Swastika.
Yeah, but that was not the original intent.
Oh, I know it. It's in my head. That was not the original name of the symbol. I'll remember it at some absolutely inappropriate time.
Okay, but the point being is it was a healing symbol until the Nazis.
Thousands of years before Hitler came along.
Yeah. And so you can't go back. You just can't. If I wanted to do that healing symbol and put it up on my house, I couldn't do it.
Kanji.
What?
Kanji?
Might
Somebody
be.
Google this who's not on their phone.
Okay. So, so she asked what was bringing up the conversation. I said, it's just something like in the back of my mind that the word groomer, all right, all of a sudden has taken on a negative connotation. And she looked at me blankly. Like, what do you mean? You're a tetragrammaton. Oh, someone else pronounced that. It's a long day.
Tetragrammaton.
Okay. But anyway, she said she's looking at me blankly. Well, you're a dog groomer, right? Yeah. So what's negative about that? Well, apparently, it's supposed to mean pedophiles, and she still looked at me blankly.
Not just pedophiles, specifically someone, because groom means also to like get you ready to prepare to do your daily grooming. So it's not just pedophiles.
All pedophiles are groomers.
All pedophiles, but it's the act of
preparing you and getting a child used to over sexualization so that they can prey on them.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
And when I explained it to her, she said she was absolutely flabbergasted. How does anyone make that leap?
It's an older term. It's been around for a very long time. But it wasn't mainstream simply because pedophilia was something that was in the closet and not looked upon. And it was, we don't discuss it. It's not happening. It's not a reality. Now it's very open reality. And there are groups of those that are, how do they phrase it? Minor attracted persons.
Right. MAPS. Right.
And they are looking to be part of the LGBTQ plus group. And they have their own flag that is similar. And it is white, pink, and blue. So that's the background.
Okay. So
and I have no appetite for the food I'm now cooking.
Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, that's some bad timing today.
Okay. So as an industry, because I know many of us have had posts flagged by Facebook simply by using the word.
Or saying, I'm a groomer. It's like, no, I groom, style pets, make them pretty, give them a haircut, make them lovely.
Okay. So I guess the point here is, do we take back the word?
How?
How? That's a good question. Or do we acknowledge that language changes over time? And even though we may not like it, we may have to consider that maybe we should not be referring to ourselves as groomers anymore. Pet
Yeah,
stylist.
there's been a movement for a really long time to change it to pet stylist.
Yeah.
Mhm.
With this discussion we've had, and it had nothing to do with the term grooming. So for years and years and years, it's been back and forth in our industry. Anyway, oh, do you call yourself pet groomer or do you call yourself a pet stylist? And people in each camp felt very strongly about it. So it's something that's been under discussion. Okay. So my vote is just let's call ourselves pet stylists.
I agree with
Yeah.
that. The old
Yeah.
argument was to separate pet groomers from horse groomers, who are literally called grooms.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's part of why it pisses me off so much. And groom for horses has been a profession for hundreds of years.
And you
Probably before
you could even have been called a hound groom as well.
right.
Yep.
And
Master of hounds.
there's even theories of that's how pet groomers got the name groomers, because it was the same people who were in charge of the hunting dogs and the horses.
Right.
So the groom took care of the horses and the dogs.
Right.
Yep.
So yeah, and I agree. I hate the term baby groomer, but it's better than inexperienced pet stylist. Would it not be better to say either novice pet
That's
stylist
what I use. I use in my salon, I use novice
or
novice
apprentice
groomer or novice pet stylist.
or apprenticing pet stylist might be another word
I
instead.
think it would be fun to kind of start the rumor mill of novice and then journeyman.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
I would go for
It's a trade, and that's
novice.
how you follow the
Apprentice for students, novice, journeyman, and stylist.
Okay. All right. So Michelle,
I'm going to call my people at the Master Groomer Council of Best Practices, and we're going to have a talk with them about all these changes that are happening. Stay tuned for the next meeting.
Okay, following that train, okay, so like an electrician would be novice, journeyman, master.
And
That's
then lineman happens somewhere, but
yeah.
I thought lineman was a different. I thought that was like a different part of the field of electrician.
It is, and it's like scary because
specialty.
I believe it's 5 years, 10,000 hours to journeyman, which is that's how long it takes you to essentially master a skill. So when you see the posts by the younger groomers who's like, I've been grooming for 3 years and I can only groom so many a day, I'm like, yeah, that's typical. You need to have 10,000 hours for your body and brain to come together to have that muscle memory.
Well, and I think that would give like the public a way to be able to see what it takes to get into grooming and the level of skill that it takes and the time involved, and give us that more of that professional feel as well.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, I like that too. So we're tasking Michelle with this.
It's technically 4 years, but we only work 5 days a week. So if you count weekends in, it actually tacks on a whole nother year for it to be 10,000 hours.
Novice, journeyman,
and master. And
And now you're going to get some other people up in a knot, as master groomer refers to a lot of times the certifications.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
So instead of master, maybe we think of an other word other than master.
Sorcerer.
I like that one. I'll take that one.
Yeah, going with wizard.
Wizardess.
Yes.
Okay. Let's assume those words are taken and we can't use them.
Fine.
Advanced journeyman. Okay. That could be an option.
Yep.
Or just advanced stylist. Because journeyman is still
Learning.
Yeah.
learning and a step
I
below.
mean, we're all still learning, but there's a demarcation line between, okay, grasshopper, you've learned as much as I can give you. Go out and teach somebody else. And then you become an advanced stylist, and then we'll leave the master language for any kind of a certification.
Mm-hmm.
And Daria makes a good point. Her husband does construction, but he always calls her a master groomer because she has over 10 years. Because at that, that's how many years. A veteran. Ooh, I like that too.
Well, wait a second. Couldn't we just differentiate between certified master groomer and master groomer? Master groomer,
They get mad about that.
Yeah.
well,
People are going to freak out.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
really
they're
going to freak out. They're going to lose their, because they're going to say, you know,
It'll confuse
did
the
this
end
and-
user, the public.
right.
Yes.
And we just avoid the whole mess. Just avoid.
I like novice journeyman and advanced stylist, and we'll
Yeah.
leave that language for some sort of other whatever.
Right. So if you're certifying, those are tests. You know what? And at some point, whether it's in my lifetime or not, I am not holding my breath that it's going to be in my lifetime. That there's going to be actual certifications like they do in almost any other industry. Okay.
Yeah. Like every other trade.
Well,
Right.
that would take licensing actually going through, and then we'll all have that. But
you know what?
until that happens, that won't happen.
It just takes one, and I'm not going to lay a wager as to whether or not it's going to be in my lifetime or grooming career, because I think it's possible that I'll see it, but it takes one state. Because once one state does it, and then give it a year or two, everybody else is going to be watching and see if they crash or burn or not. And then if it actually seems to work, and one state does it after a few years, then all the other states have a baseline. Do not rain yet. Right.
It poured here all day.
It was pouring to the point where I was checking water levels. Like it was, I was sweating a little bit.
That's a good question. Do you have any update on Bijou's law? Didn't it come back around or something?
We just had a meeting with updates, and I can't see the comments here, so yes, thank you for reading that to me. NJPPGA just had a meeting with updates. It came back around, but everything is quiet. We are still at the no news is good news stage. The biggest update on it is the actual Bijou's law. The assemblywoman who was really, really, or state, I forget if she was a state senator, assemblywoman, but she was really spearheading it. Didn't get reelected. So she left her position to go for another position and did not get elected for that. So the person who was behind that main law is no more. Well, no, she's still around. She's alive. She's, but
she's not in a position of power.
She's not in a position of government.
So that's basically just floating in the ether then?
There are some other iterations of it. There are some other versions of it that are a thing, but it's not as concise, and it's still kind of floating in the ether. We are, by the way, this is why you need to join your state organizations. I'm going to take this moment to pitch not just New Jersey, but any state, if you have a state organization, because what the New Jersey State Org does is we monitor this really carefully, and we get notifications every time something is coming up, and we stay in touch with the lobbyist from the Pet Advocacy Council, and we watch these things so that when it does come up and you go down to your state capital, if you go down there and you have 4 or 5 pet stylists who are just going down there talking about it, they're like, meh. But if you can go down there and say, I am representing my state organization, which has 100+ members.
All right. And I'm going to do you one better. They don't even have to know how many members you
They
have.
don't even have to know. Yes, you're representing a legal organization.
Because in Washington, during getting in COVID, to take us out of the same category as hairdressers, we presented ourselves as the Washington Association. Not that we had like 5 freaking members, okay? We were the association.
We
Okay?
did the same thing in New Jersey, and I don't even know if it was more than the board at that point. I literally think it was 5-6 people.
Yeah. But they don't have to know that. They just have to hear we represent the groomers in the state of whatever state you're in. This is our association. This is our website.
Yeah.
So
join your local organizations, and yeah, right now we're waiting, which is because after, I want to say 2 years, it falls off the calendar and has to start from scratch.
Well, so far there's been about 4 or 5 attempts to have an Arizona Groomers Alliance of some sort, and they always fall through because we just do what we want.
Because you're the Wild West. You're Arizona.
Yes, that's what we are. And now one's trying to form, and we're just gently anticipating the outcome of that to see what happens there. So hopefully we may have one here soon. So
we got a really good response at PetQuest. We got a whole bunch of new members that signed up for Ohio, and we had our meeting and stuff. So we're super excited about that.
What you need to remember, for anyone who is listening, who's at that stage where there might be a group and there might be somebody they disagree with, or some things they disagree with, what you need to remember is you're not going to agree on everything. You're not going to agree on everything. And licensing is coming, whether or not it's actually coming, like actually going through, or just showing up in your state legislature. It's going to happen. You need to be prepared
to talk about it,
Yeah.
to know what your steps are.
Yes. And whether or not you, hate that person down the street and she's in it, or you hate their politics, or, oh my God, they shaved a lab, you can't possibly be in the same association. No, it's not about that. It's not about.
It's about protecting all of us as a whole in that state.
Right.
Massachusetts has the NEPGP, but they are education only and do not deal with legislation. I had started MAP, which was the Massachusetts Association of Pet Professionals, a few years ago. However, it cost me about $5,000 to create and run it. And quite frankly, it was not worth the headache because it was just endless.
A lot of work.
It wasn't the work it was literally every single thing that we did was countermanded by certain people, and all they did was complain and complain. And they figured since they paid the membership fee, they could torpedo everything that we were trying to do. And I got to the point where I was like, you know what? It's not worth all this.
Well, see,
it's not worth the work. It is not worth any of this. Screw you all. Go ahead.
And while I still have PTSD by the phrase bylaws, that's where writing your bylaws correctly comes in, because you want to be democratic enough that you can listen to the groomers in your state, but not so democratic that you don't get anything done.
Well,
And it's a fine
that
line.
was part of the problem, is that everything we were trying to do, she was, because we were posting how we were trying to do this, she was a member, she was going behind and trying to undo everything that we were working to do. So yeah, so I just closed the org, and I was like, this is not worth my time. I can spend it doing many other things, like writing a book. So that's what I did.
Okay, so we are coming up on our half hour. Chris is cooking. I would say everybody enjoy the 4th of July. We will
Stay
be
safe.
here. Most of us will be here next week. Denise may not.
I'm not. I'm sorry. I'll think about you guys. I promise.
Don't be sorry. Last week was it last week? I was, or the week before, I was not only grooming, but I was listening to my my town city council, because their city council meetings are Tuesday nights. So it always butts up against this. And now that we have like a healthy group of people, I'm like, I can pay attention to my town politics a little better. So we're good.
Okay, everybody. So we will see you all next week.
All right. Have a happy 4th, everyone.